The prophet of thought. Open your mind, 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 open your mind. Open your mind, 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 open your mind.
On the shore, relentless in the war, the legions in our hearts, shed waters in our voice, the spirit and the flesh, the emotions that arrest, the cerebral will contest, propelling the unrest. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding, so sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demons searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demons searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. With the semblance of a blaze, with gratitude and rage, we touch another page with delirious delight, impervious to light. This vitality and might encourages the flight. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding, so sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demons searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demons searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. The world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demons searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demons searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within.
I did that shit again. Forgot to turn the damn mic on. I keep doing it. But yeah, I know that y'all have seen brother Ike around, and welcome back, y'all. You know, I hope y'all went and stretched your legs, smoked a cigarette, got you a glass of lemonade or something, while all this was going on. You know, me, I was sitting back here jamming, boy. Sitting here jamming to Ike's music. Yeah, I know y'all have seen Brother Ike around. He's been making the rounds, on this here YouTubes. And tonight he's here, man. And we will be talking about the elements of success. Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm just waiting for Brother Ike to come through. I see Brother Ike in the chat room. So, Brother Ike, go ahead, check your email. I did send you the link. Well, I'm old. Let me make sure I did it. Because I be forgetting, boy, to turn my mic on and all this old kind of nonsense. So let me make sure I sent Brother Ike the damn. Make sure I sent him the damn link. Okay, there he is. Without further delay, let me bring in Brother Ike. Brother Ike, what's good with it, man?
I am good. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, man. Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to come. Now, am I pronouncing your name right? I need to ask you this first. It's OGIAMIEN, right? Is it OGIAMIEN? Am I
Yeah.
pronouncing that? Okay.
The hard G is the most important part, and then
All right. So how are you, brother?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Looking forward to this, man. So I'm gonna get right into it. You are a structural engineer, correct?
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay. You studied in Nigeria. You're a
No,
Nigerian, right?
I I am Nigerian, born and raised in Nigeria, but I came over here when I was 18. So my college years were in the United States.
Oh, okay.
So
So,
first 18 years, born and raised in Nigeria. Yes, though. Yeah.
okay. So obviously, a successful person. I've been watching quite a bit of your stuff. Uh, and we're going to get into all of that because, like I said, I've been watching quite a bit of your stuff. You see, I played your theme song at the beginning, and I got a special surprise for you when we close out. Oh
Oh
yeah,
man.
um, but I watch your stuff, and you talk a lot about meditation and things like that. You talk
hmm
about the power of giving. I mean, you talk about a lot of things. So let me ask you,
hmm
are all of the things that you talk about down on the old Ike OGIAMIEN channel, is all of that part of your success? The meditation, the charity, the business, the schooling, is all of it part of what makes Mr. OGIAMIEN's success?
I would have to say it's part of what makes me tick, what makes me happy, what makes me keep going. And insofar as that contributes to my success, then yes, I would say it's one and the same thing, right? It is one and the same thing. I can't see one side without the other, right? So yes.
Okay. And what a lot of you don't know, because I've watched a lot of his stuff, and he doesn't mention this much. I had to go and like kind of check into it on myself. He's not also a successful businessman in his trade. For those of you who don't know, Brother Ike is also in a musical group called Soul Rising. And he's not just in the group, folks. He's the lead singer. A lot of you probably don't know that. You need to go and check Brother Ike's archives and look down. I know y'all don't like to look at anything that hasn't been put up in the last 7 days, but scroll down on Brother Ike's channel and you can actually see him doing his singing. I saw a couple things on Google, and I was like, wow, this guy. So So I'm assuming that's part of it all too, right? So are you known more for being an engineer or more for being Ike, the lead singer of Soul Rising?
That is an interesting question, right? Uh, I'm not sure it's a question that I can answer. It's the people that will have to answer what they know me more for. But these are parallel tracks that I run, right? So I have a very analytical business, engineering, technical side of myself, and then I also have a very creative side, right? So part of the manifestation of the creative side is being on YouTube, for example. But I've been doing music now for a while. I started out with hip hop, writing hip hop type of stuff, and then the transition into reggae was easy. I think transitioning as a singer or a songwriter from hip hop into anything else is really easy because hip hop is the hardest thing to write, right? Just wanted to mention that. But I would say that in, let's say, Facebook and so on and so forth, people know me more as a lead singer, but they're like different groups of people who know me, right? If you know what I mean, right? So, but not everybody always knows everything that I do, right? I don't necessarily. It's not because I'm hiding facets or side of myself on purpose. It's just okay when I'm doing one thing, well, that's what I'm doing. I don't have to mention. So it does tend to happen from time to time that people that I work with are like, "What I saw you do this or you do that." I'm like, it just happens that way, right? So people know me for the different things that they know me for, but I'm not quite sure what I'm well known for out or better known for out there, right?
Okay. So tonight we're talking about the elements of success, and I already gather that all of these things are elements of your success. So let me ask you about success in a general sense.
Hmm.
Have you found or do you observe that a lot of us we can't really achieve the success that we want because we may be missing, some of those other elements that would ultimately lead to our success?
Yeah. Now, obviously, this is a very broad but also very deep topic. It's multifaceted, goes from psychology to discipline to also strategy, right? You got to execute. So I would say yes, right? That is by definition the reason why people don't find or not attaining the success that they would desire in the pursuit of any particular end, right? Any particular goal, it takes a certain, as I said, there's a psychological aspect, there's a discipline aspect, and then there's a strategic aspect to it. Okay. Now, not everybody is, I can only speak from my particular perspective. Okay. So perhaps I sensed a certain aspect of your question that has to do with being multifaceted. Okay. Now, that's just me. Not everybody does many different things. I'm sure someone like you yourself, you probably have a couple of tricks under your sleeves and you do different things, right? It tends to be the case, though, that, the Renaissance man type tends, you find, there are two kinds of people you find, let's say, at the different peaks, right? You have the guy who is like the top 0.1% or the top 1% at one thing, right? He is the Tiger Woods of golf, or he is the Einstein of physics, or on and on and on. But then the more people in this room, that room of successful people in some penthouse somewhere in Seattle or whatever, more people are going to be more of the other type, which is that they're top 5%, top 10% in many, many things. Okay, so are they the best writer? No, but they're pretty good at writing. Are they the best speaker? No, but they're pretty good at speaking. Are they the best at strategizing? Are they the best at selling? Are they the best discipline? No, right? But they take all these things and they stack them up. And I think that the talent stack is something that is an important ingredient to success for the vast majority of people, because not everybody is going to be, by definition, the Einstein or the Tiger Woods type. Most people are the other type who need to stack these things up. And that requires discipline and strategy in order to actually pull that through.
So do you believe it's better to be Trained or just naturally talented at a particular thing? What's better?
I think that even talent, okay, what we call talent, I think is better called as a gift, and that gift will not go anywhere without training, right? I mean, it just kind of goes. The most gifted people, right, tend to also train the most, right? There's this particular physics teacher, for example, at MIT, right? He does these very great physics lectures, okay? And if you're into that kind of thing or any kind of performance at all, you don't even have to be into physics, right? You may not even know what the hell he's talking about, but you can study a good performer and be like, wow, this guy's a very effective communicator, okay? He is gifted obviously, right? You can kind of tell. But guess what? Just like him and let's say Michael Jordan or all these other people, he rehearses for every lecture he gives. He rehearses it twice before he gives it. So that means he's lecturing tomorrow. He does it twice, and then he goes and he does. That's all lectures. Okay. Now he's way more talented than many other people out there. He could rest on his laurels, right? He could just be like, you know what, I got this. But no, you push. This video that I made came to mind, which is about the cultivation of acres, and someone like that who is very gifted, okay, they actually have to do the work. The burden is on them to do the work, because if they do not do that extra work that they need to do in order to cultivate, let's say, that 100 acres of land that they have, then they're not happy. Somebody who has 1 acre of land can cultivate the 1 acre of land and be happy. Someone who has 100 acres of land is not happy even if he cultivates 50 acres of it. Right? So with more talent comes the responsibility to actually push and cultivate that talent. So if I were to retrace my steps back to your question, I would say that it's a double-edged sword, or it's on the one hand, on the other, it's a pro and con thing. If you're gifted with 100 acres, you're going to put in 100. You need to put in 100 acres of work in order to be happy. Now, I'm not talking about externally. Externally, if you have 100 acres and you cultivate 50 and everybody only has 1, externally people will say, wow, look at that guy. He's the man. But you're going to be indulging in certain self-destructive behavior because you have this excess. Because a part of the gift is a certain kind of obsession and obsessive behavior, okay? So if you do not take that obsessive behavior, right? Let's say take like a Michael Jordan. Now we know he's obsessed and crazy, right? But that's kind of part of his gift, because he's got the 1,000 acres. Okay, he knows when everyone's like, wow, why you do? Just chill, Michael. Michael's like, no, I see weeds all over my backyard. I still got acres and acres of backyard to cultivate, right? So the point is, if you're gifted, you need to use that obsessive energy, which is the flip side of the gift, to cultivate the land or the talent. Otherwise, you're going to turn it to alcohol and booze and women or whatever. Like, it's going to turn and it's going to destroy you, right? So you're asking, is it better? Well, I just painted the landscape, and it's like, well, that's the situation, okay? If you got the gift, you're going to need to put in the work to cultivate it. You're going to need to direct that obsession into cultivating that. Otherwise, you'll be destroyed. And if you're less gifted, you have a different kind of a lifestyle. Overall, I would say, hey, it's called a gift. It sounds good, right? So I say, yes, more gifts, right? It's better, right?
Well, a lot of times, I think, and I suffered from this myself when I was a young guy. Sometimes we just lack, focus. And is there any way that you can take a person who maybe doesn't have all the focus? Is it any way to train focus? Is it any way to, kind of hone in and master having, quote unquote, focus on a particular thing?
I would say, well, yes, 100%. Without a doubt, without any hesitation whatsoever, I would say yes. And it's not just me saying yes. I'm saying that this capacity is like any other capacity, right? And in this particular domain as well, there are the more gifted and the less gifted. Just like you said, some people don't have that gift of being focused or being able to easily focus, right? So not everyone is Usain Bolt, right? He's gifted at being able to run, but everybody can run, right? And everybody, if they run, will get better at running. This same thing is true of any other capacity. When it comes to things that are in, because I just gave a physical example, right? Okay, physical, your body. Okay, I get it. You can work your cardiovascular, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But the same principle applies to everything about your being, which is that everything operates on the use it or lose it principle, right? If you want to make something better, you simply use it. There is no other way. It's not about magical thinking or it's not epiphanies either, where you're just gonna a light bulb is gonna go off in your head one day and all of a sudden you're gonna be more focused. No, a light bulb doesn't go off in your head and all of a sudden you grow big biceps, right? You got to go in the gym. You got to formally use the biceps. Okay, you do the reps. This is the form. This is the system. And then with time, same thing with any capacity, whether it be your, now we're talking about things in the mental space. So concentration can be trained. Equanimity, which is the ability to be able to be relaxed in any situation, which is key for any kind of long-term success, and also key for any kind of influencing and persuasion and just being a social creature, which is key to your success as well. These things can be trained. Again, they can be formally trained. They tend to be, the kinds of trainings tend to be called meditation, right? But it's not some kind of mysterious thing. It is the formal use of these capacities in order to develop them. And as I mentioned, it's a use it or lose it proposition. That's what we are, right? So it's not that you can rest on your laurels and just chill on certain things. You actually atrophy. If you don't use your bones, they atrophy. If you don't use your muscles, it'll atrophy. You don't expose your immune system to stress, it'll atrophy. Same thing goes with your concentration, your sensory clarity, your equanimity. These particular skills for managing your meat vehicle, if you will, right? Those things too need to be formally exercised and used. Otherwise, they'll atrophy as well.
Well, good look on that $5 super chat, Brother Wayman. He says the Renaissance man uses his skills, knowledge, talents, and interests to design an overall lifestyle most fitting for them. Compartmentalizing is key. I would have to agree with you, Brother Wayman. But let me ask you this. Do you consider yourself a Renaissance man, Brother Ike?
Well, yeah, to the degree to which someone can be saying those kinds of things about themselves, right? Well, if I gotta say it myself, then yes, because well, first of all, I don't believe in false humility, right? Especially after a certain age. After you're like about 30, you know what you're good at, especially relative to not just what you're good at, but also you kind of know where you stand in terms of the bell curve of any particular distribution of gifts, talents, so on and so forth. And the point is, there are not a lot of engineers that are also into songwriting and being a dancing monkey on stage and so on and so forth, right? There are not a lot of people, same thing, engineers that are really into the study of philosophy, psychology, the practice of meditation, so on and so forth, right? So, and I'm into those things, like equally heavily into those things, right? Like there's almost no end to the things that I'm into in that regard. So I am very introverted, which is how I get the time, by the way, because I don't need a lot of social activity, if you will. That's how I get a lot of the time to really go deep into all these different areas, right? And I find commonality in all these areas. I tend to be a fundamental kind of person, a foundational kind of person. So when I'm doing selling, I'm doing a presentation, it's not very different from when I'm doing my singing on stage, okay? And it's not very different from having a conversation with you right now. It's not also very different from me when I try to, let's say, manage my energy and pull an all-nighter, or work that 16-hour day. In other words, the discipline required to cultivate certain virtues, right? All these things cut across all different things you're doing. It could even be in your relationships as well, I always go to find the fundamentals, because if you have the fundamentals, then you don't have to carry a big bag of tricks with you, right? you just carry like 3 things with you. And you're like, okay, these 3 things, these 3 tools can be applied in many different ways. But if you stay at the surface level, which is the level of like techniques and methodology and how then you cannot, then you got to carry a lot of stuff with you, right? But if you can come up with the technique and the methodology for any particular task because you have the fundamentals, because there are fundamentals, right? Because the whole universe is one. It's not like there's 1,000 different parts to this game, right? And you are one creature. Human beings are one kind of social. You get what I'm saying, right? So, yes, I am. I would consider myself to be a Renaissance man. Yeah.
Okay. I know you talk a lot on your channel about meditation. Something I used to do when I was a younger guy. I haven't done it in like 20 years now. But explain to the folks how meditation helps you. Because I know it's one of the elements of your success, maybe not just in business, but as a person as well. So if you would, could you explain to the folks, how meditation is, one of the elements of your success and, how it figures into your life and career as well.
So people talk about being present, right? Being in the moment, right? And then a rather more rare form is to be in the zone, right? We all know these things to be good things, right? That's why I'm starting from here. I'm starting from just what it's intuitively good. When people associate this presence, being in the moment, and then being in the zone to be good things. So I don't need to convince you or anybody else why they're good. Now, these things involve the use of, they are expressions of certain capacities. And these capacities are concentration. The main 2 are concentration and relaxation. And the kind of relaxation I mean is the kind of relaxation that you need to think of yourself floating in water. In other words, not grabbing onto anything or pushing anything away, whereby you are kind of just going with the flow, if you will, right? That kind of capacity is trainable, okay? How does it help you? And that's why I kind of use those. I appeal to your intuition by saying presence, being in the moment, being in the zone. In other words, I don't have to tell you how those things help you. You're at peak performance, okay? And you're at peak capacity to influence. You are also at peak peace, or shall I say, most optimized blood pressure, reduced cortisol, and when you are in those states, right? So the point is, concentration is concentration, whether you are a sniper or you are a free throw, you're throwing free throws and it's all net, or you're trying to study something difficult. Okay, the capacity to concentrate is the same all through all those. And with concentration tends to come this other thing called equanimity, which is that floating, that relaxation, right? And that thing helps you be able to not be in a situation where the tail is wagging the dog, right? So where you're able to observe yourself as a system of feelings in the body and image in your head and talk in your head, as opposed to you just being in the eye of the storm or in the middle of the storm and you're just doing things that your feelings want you to do. Hey, people say you're in your feelings, right? Or get out of your head. You're too much in your head, right? Being in the zone, being present, and these other things that I mentioned are the state of not being in your feelings, but rather being able to watch your feelings. Not being in your head, but rather being able to watch your head. And the physical manifestations, as I mentioned, which are good for your health, we already kind of just talked about. But we also know that these things are also perfect for performance. You are performing better. You are at peak performance when you're able to do these things. So I would say that's why it is such a key part, a key element to any particular endeavor, physical, mental, or what have you.
Because I think a lot of times when we think of meditating, we think of sitting down, in the Indian position, on some pillows and holding both of your hands like this, and but that's not it at all. I mean, well, I guess that is part of it, but that's not the whole thing. Um, I'm a true believer that you can meditate without all of that. You don't have to be, sitting down, Indian style and holding your hands and humming and that I don't think that because I actually used to meditate a lot, when I was a younger guy, where I would just sit, man, for like, 30 minutes, not speak, not, not look at anything, just eyes closed, just sit there, hands on my lap, and just kind of, like you said, just kind of, watch the feelings just not be part of what's going on for that 30 or 40 or 45 minutes that I was doing it. Do you think that it's easier to meditate when you don't have as much on your mind, or should meditation be part of you if you do happen to have a lot on your mind?
Okay. So the question is about having a lot of your mind. Is it easier to meditate? You also mentioned there along the way the kinds of images that come to mind when people mention meditation. Oh, I got to be in the lotus position now. What I got to be humming something or saying a mantra. What am I going to be counting beads or hitting a gong or something like that?
Incense burning.
Incense burning. Maybe some hippie chicks with beads or something around. So
Yeah.
the thing is, and I think that it is natural, and I'll bring it all to the question part, right? But I think that what you mentioned is important, right? What we're talking about right now is important to the question. And I think that it is natural for people to have that kind of a connotation, and it is natural for that connotation to be off-putting because we don't understand it. Why I say it's natural is because we are Westerners, okay? Whether we like it or not, we are all Western materialists, okay? You're born in the 21st century. In most of the world, there are only certain kinds of corners of the world, more places where you may be still in a different mode of mind, right? So as a Western materialist, you need things to be explained to you in a certain way, right? So I would say this. When you want to train your cardiovascular system, there are many ways to do it, okay? You could say, hey, run. You could say, do fast-paced, hot yoga. You could say swim. You could say play basketball, play tennis, play soccer, play bass, right? These are all formal ways. Okay, they have a form, they have a modality, they have a system of structure of rules, right? That you do something in a formal way in order to activate in that use it or lose it kind of a way again, your lungs, your heart, and the vascular system, the blood vessels, right? So some people, what you mentioned about sitting, right, in the lotus position, that may be, let's say that's swimming, and you're not into swimming, okay? But you could run, or you could jog, or you could cycle, or. In other words, with that guy sitting there doing that thing, it's just a formal way of using his concentration and practicing that relaxation, that equanimity thing, okay? And with that comes sensory clarity. Again, we are Westerners. We have to put things in scientific concepts. That's how we've been ever since the scientific, you get what I'm saying, right? We can't pretend to think that we don't think this way. And let me not say Westerners. That may be a wrong way to put it. What I mean is we are modern, materialistic kind of people. We need to look at things in these particular kinds of constructions, right? We don't do very well with consciousness talk, in other words. So we need to kind of relate it to the physical. So it is the formal use of capacities. That's what it is, okay? You can run, you could swim, you could jump, you could cycle, you could go on a rowing machine. Same thing, you could do this kind of meditation where you use the gong or this or that, or you use deep breathing, or you're just listening and sitting, as you said. But what is the commonality? Just like there's commonalities with using the lungs, right? What are you using formally? You're using concentration. Okay. Why are you using concentration? Well, it's not that crazy. It's use it or lose it. That's how biology works, right? So it's not some far flung, crazy, oh, now you're going to tell me about chakras and this and that. It's like, no, it's simple. It's you use the capacity, okay, in order to develop it. If you don't use it, you're going to lose. Now, to the question about is it easier? What you're saying is similar to, well, is it easier to run when you're tired? No. Right? By definition, right? So is it easier to lift heavy weights? Because let me put it this way. There are certain kinds of the kind of meditation that you're talking about here would involve the mind, using the mind. Because you could do deep breathing exercises, okay, which is just focusing on the body. You're practicing the use of concentration and watching of their feelings as opposed to watching of your head. Okay. Now we know feelings affect your head and your head affects your feelings. It's all a cycle. The universe is one. Everything is one. We know that, right? But the point is, if the perturbation, the randomness, the disturbance in your mind is like a heavy weight, okay, that's like your resistance that day, or a strong resistance band, or whatever. Or so if you're not up to it that day, right? Maybe you should just go to the sauna, or maybe you should go to the cycling thing. Don't lift heavy weights that day is what I'm saying, right? Same thing with meditation, okay? You can practice breathing exercises in order to still calm yourself down, in order to still train your your concentration, in order to create that space between the feelings and you, in order to get out of your feelings, right? Get out of your head. Because we all know intuitively that we don't want to be there, right? That part at least we get. That's, as I mentioned before, being in the zone and so on and so forth. We get that that's good. We also get that we don't want to be in our feelings and we don't want to be in our head, that it's best when you're the observer, because the observer has most control. The person who's in their feelings does not have control. The person who can watch their feelings has more control. So there are different modalities, okay? If you are tired today, that's akin to really being busy with in the head. There are other ways to still train something. Do something else. Get on your bicycle and just ride. Take a long ride rather than go for some intense workout. So I would say, but however though, here's the flip side of it. If you go and you pick up that heavy weight, you'll get a lot of work done too, right? Okay. So the way it works is attention, right? Which is that concentration and equanimity and sensory clarity thing, is the work. The resistance is the amount of disturbance going on in your body or in your mind, okay? If you got a whole lot of disturbance going on and you can bring 1 unit of attention, let's say, to 10 units of disturbance, then you've done 10 units of work, 1 times 10, right? But if there's very little bit of disturbance, right? If we just flip it and say, well, you only have 1 unit of disturbance, you're relatively calm that day, then you're going to bring, in order to do that same 10 units of work, you need to bring 10 units of attention. That's be akin to doing a whole lot more reps, that kind of a thing, right? So it translates, and that's kind of how it is. And I hope that was not too much of a long-winded answer to your question.
No, absolutely not. I watch your channel, so I'm used to hearing this stuff. Yeah, I'm subscribed.
Well, thank you.
When we talk about, well, on here, I should say, when we're on here and we talk about success, it's usually money, investments, the type of house you live in, this big old car, watches, jewelry, all that kind of crap. But I don't think that success is just that. Of course, everybody wants a bunch of money and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that success is just that, because like you said, you can be the guy with 100 acres and not manage it right, and be a guy with 1 acre and be just happy as, a pig in slop. So is success is there more mental prowess and power involved in success as opposed to, having the money, the good job, the entrepreneurship, the Mercedes? I mean, is it more mental? Is more of it mental or not?
Now, I tend to, partly as a force of habit and also just a certain kind of discipline I have, I tend to want to push back against certain kinds of dichotomies, right? And you know where I'm going, right? In other words, I'd rather, first of all, state that it's all the one picture, okay? It's all one big picture, okay? Now, I like nice things. It may be obvious already, okay? Like, I like nice things. I like to look nice, dress nice, smell nice, all that kind of stuff. The aesthetics of this world, Epicureanism. I like to make very nice dinners, pair it with fine wine, like the whole shebang, okay? However, I also understand that that is a outward manifestation of it. It's almost like a celebration of prowess. It's like an overflow. All kinds of aesthetics is an overflow. In other words, and aesthetics includes, let's say, sports and entertainment, right? With sports, it's like an excess of, like think of gymnastics, for example, right? It's just like, well, you don't really need to do that in your you don't need to be doing backflips just to go to Walmart, right? So it's always, so you get what I'm saying? All kinds of entertainment and also sports and the arts in general are always displaying a kind of overwhelming overflow excess, right? Which I think is a celebration of human life, right? So when viewed from that perspective, it is not so much against the prowess which is being demonstrated, right? Because the prowess which is being demonstrated takes a lot of discipline, a lot of mental work to get there, okay? But then the aesthetic display, okay, which people tend to think it's opposite from it, is a display of that excess and a celebration, okay? And I don't care if your aesthetic display is a religious ritual or a great dinner. It's still the same thing. Both of them are displays of excess of human prowess, right? Because both of them are superfluous, right? Both of them go above and beyond. What's this festival about? Why is everybody spinning around with these bright colored dresses on and sacrificing this goat over there and doing this? Like, all these things are all the same. Now, so when after painting that landscape, I would have to then make another kind of a set of hierarchies because we're talking about success. And I would have to say that the hierarchy of, shall we call it, spiritual values, right? Let's say the priests, if you will, right? Spiritual values being someone, and these values may vary in terms of their outward manifestation from time to time, but we kind of know what those are. We kind of get that. Okay, they're kind of opposed. They're different from what we would call material ones. Okay, this would be the priests, and then you also have the values of valor, and this is Sparta, right? And alpha, right? That is a different thing represented, let's say, by the military. Okay, the military and the priest type stuff, they don't tend to overlap, right? So what I'm saying here is, even though everything is still all one, there are still different hierarchy games to be played, right? So going in to become General Patton or Mad Dog Mattis is a different kind of hierarchy than going for Gandhi or holy man status, right? These are different hierarchy games. There is also another hierarchy game, which is the hierarchy game of the merchant class, right? But each of these games have their virtues required to get to the top, and that's something that people need to understand, okay? The merchant class, well, it just so turns out to be that it's the most measurable, okay? Because in a certain sense, okay? Because yeah, you can say you're a holy man and you're like, okay, well, how do I really know that? Or, your value, I'm a spiritual good man kind of thing. It's like, well, how can I really know that? Not so they have their different ways of measuring and assessing over there. But merchant class, more modern, capitalistic, almost scientific is, well, what are the bank notes? Where are the dollars? Where's the success? Where's the business? How long have you been doing this? What's the network? That kind of a thing, which is another hierarchy game. But there is commonality. In other words, in order to be able to make it to the peak of any one of these hierarchy games, there is commonality. You're going to need certain kinds of discipline and self-mastery. I don't care which hierarchy game you're playing, whether you're going to be the Mad Dog Mattis, badass Marine, or you're going to be, the badass monk on top of the hill, or you're going to be the most successful CEO, serial entrepreneur ever. All those people are gonna be playing using or maximizing, optimizing certain kinds of capacities, right? So that would be my way of answering your question.
Well, let me ask you this, because when I was coming up, my father always told me, he said, son, he said, part of having success is not realizing that you are successful. He said, because once you start feeling like you're successful, you will plateau. He used to say, he said, you'll plateau if you start feeling like you're successful. He said, as long as you don't realize that you're successful, that is a success, because you will stay hungry, you will stay striving for more, you will keep learning, you will keep building. And that stuck with me, because he told me that when I was a little boy. But let me ask you this, being that we're talking about, the elements of success and money, and, you said you like nice things and nice wines and nice foods. Would you be the happy, content Ike OGIAMIEN if you didn't have all those things? If you weren't the engineer, if you weren't the singer, you were just regular old Ike that was a greeter at Walmart. Would you think, well, I know it's hard to think of this hypothetically, but please try. Would you be as content? Would you be the same happy? Would you have let me rephrase it. Would you have the mental success if you weren't Ike OGIAMIEN, but you were Ike Jones who lines the carts up at Walmart?
I would say yes. And it's very much right in line with what your dad told you. And that's why you mentioned it, right? So I mentioned, because what your dad said falls underneath this. And I think this is the number one thing. And that's why I mentioned it first, which is the use it or lose it proposition, right? And there are many things implied there. Number one, it's just true, right? Like it's not a system, it's not an argument, it's not an opinion. It's just fact, right? The economy, the ecosystem, your bones, your immune system, your mental health, everything operates better when being stressed. So what your dad was saying is, if you get comfortable, right, is another way to put it, right? If you rest on your laurels, right? If you stop, you actually start going backwards, okay? You cannot stop. You cannot stop rowing because, as we just said, it's use it or lose it. It's not use it and then maybe stop and keep it or something. No, things atrophy and die if they're not stressed, if they're not pushed. So you have to take risks. You have to start new ventures. You have to spread out into forming new networks, trying your mental capacities with new endeavors, okay? Stretching yourself, saying yes to new opportunities, even though you don't know, shoot first, ask questions last, as they may say, right? All these things are necessary in order to be, in order to thrive, let's just say, because it's a biological thing. It's a life thing. Because rocks don't need this, okay? Rocks can just chill on top of that mountain for 10,000 years and they're cool, right? But life actually needs stress. People tend to think what we want is a bubble and comfort and maybe political correctness and cuddling. That kills you, okay? The same thing, your bones don't want it, your immune system doesn't want it, your mind doesn't want it either, your skills don't want it either, okay? So to the question about would I be happy? Insofar as I am pushing the envelope, regardless of the size, right? Insofar as I'm cultivating the land, regardless of the size, then you will be happy. Okay? It is just a simple biological fact. It's not far-fetched spirituality or philosophical opinion. It's just simple that with all your capacities, you need to stress them. Okay? You need to push them. You need to be uncomfortable. In the gym, with your mental stuff, with your business, you need to be like, oh my God, am I going to be able to make this? Am I going to be able to do this? And then have that relief a little bit afterwards after you do that. But don't rest in that relief. Immediately get up again and go find the next, like, oh crap,
right back at it.
Go scare yourself again. Yeah, so I would say that no matter where you're at in life, if you're doing this, then you're cool. You'll be fine. You'll be thriving.
What was the young Ike like? Because you said you stated you were in Nigeria, right? For 18 years before you came, to the States. What was the young Ike like?
Very introverted, very shy, very serious in a certain way, right? Because one thing as a typical introvert journey, you have to kind of figure out how to interface with the external world. So internally, I'm a very serious person, right? Externally, though, I like to joke. I like to troll in the various chats out there on YouTube and what have you, right? I like to sing and dance on stage. I like to tell jokes like that. That's how I am. But before I was able to figure out how to show that to the world, when I was just doing me, if you will, I was more of a bookish, serious kind of person. Serious on all levels, whether it be serious in terms of study of philosophy and religion or whatever. Like, I always took everything seriously. I still do, right? And so growing up, let's say during the high school years is when I started trying to say, well, how can I put myself out there? What are the different talents that I have? Okay. And how can I use these to interface socially with others? Okay. And so I'm like, okay, I have this gift for music, or at least the lyrics side of things, right? So I'm going to try to use that as a way of, clout, right? Getting clout, right? So I'm gonna memorize Bone Thugs and Harmony verses, probably some of the harder type of verses to memorize, and I'm gonna be able to perform it, and people are gonna be like, oh, that guy always go, he's got that thing, bada boom, bada bing, and then okay, be like, okay, what else do people value, or how else can I kind of train myself to be more social, to be a better listener, and so on and so forth. So I would say that the young Ike was very, very much serious in his shell, bookish, super introvert kid that just was cultivating all kinds of crap in there. Okay, so wasn't that I was just locked up somewhere not doing anything. All these things I've been this way, including the meditation stuff, right? Because something that I noticed only recently is that back then I used to do the meditation. I just didn't realize exactly what I was doing. I used to I would sit down, formally close my eyes, and I would do this thing where I would imagine the room spinning, and then it starts to feel like the room was spinning. It was just like, you know how kids like to have fun, right? You can actually literally spin around and, or whatever. But I used to be able to do that with my head. In my head. Now I know it's like literally a meditation technique. It's like a formal way of, calming down, because you got to be very calm and you got to concentrate in order to kind of do that kind of thing. So I was doing stuff like that. I was reading books about Aristotle and Plato and so on and so forth, and playing video games and stuff like that. So that's kind of, if you will, a rough sketch of what Ike was like growing up.
All right. Good look, Commandante Lou, with the $50 super chat. I appreciate that, brother Lou. Also, brother Biscuit 2005 with the $9.99 super chat. He says, excellent interview. I'm taking notes. That's good to know, brother Biscuit. Appreciate that super chat. And also, we got a couple cash apps here that I gotta read off. I don't want y'all to think I forgot about it. Another cash app on the cash app game from Brother Lou again. Appreciate that, Brother Lou. Also, cash app from Brother Linnell, and also a cash app from Brother Joe. Thank you, brothers, Brother Joe, Brother Linnell, and Brother Lou for the cash apps. Now I also spoke about, because I watched one of your videos where you were talking about you were talking about charity and giving. And you know, I believe in that as well. I believe in, you know, looking out for folks when I can. I believe in giving some of my time. I believe in giving, you know, a little bit of change as well. So I guess what I'm asking you is that also an element of success? Well, I guess it is though, right? Being able to do that is an element of success, because, you know, you can't give someone something that you don't have. So if you, and I'm not just talking about money, you know, I'm not just talking about, you know, giving somebody, you know, like the guys on the overpass when I, you know, come up off the highway, they're standing up there and they need $5. Now, I couldn't give them $5 if I'm also one of the guys standing on the overpass, right? So, you know, I mean, I guess you have to be in the position to be the charitable person. Therefore, that is ultimately an element of your success, right?
It is in that last way you mentioned. It'll be a manifestation of a certain level of success relative to the person that you're giving, right? But that is more of a manifestation as opposed to something that you are using or as something that got you there. Okay, so you're already there, and then it's a manifestation that you're able to give so people know. But it is also something that got you there. In other words, you need to be giving before you're able to, or you need to give such that it scares you. What am I saying? All these things, I keep saying they're simple because it's true, right? It's true that they're simple. And I keep relating it to the same kinds of principles because these principles are just simple principles. It's the same use it or lose it thing again. It's the same pushing yourself again, okay? Whether you are stressing those bones and those muscles and that psyche and that business proposition or your network and so on and so forth, putting yourself in scary situations, same thing also goes with giving, okay? This one is a little bit more psychological. But first of all, let me say that I'm an intuitive person with a strong penchant for action, right? So intuitive means I tend not to be a planner. I don't sit down and strategize very much, okay? I just do, right? Shoot first, ask questions last. Okay, boom, boom, do, right? YouTube channel sounds fun. Let's start it. Okay, that's kind of how I roll. And then things tend to then fall in place almost backwards. Like I look backwards, I'm like, oh, things are falling in place in a certain way. But I'm always just running forward and juggling things, right? So I say that to say this. I'm not sitting around strategizing, oh, I'm gonna give and then it's gonna help me, so on and so forth. But so I just tend to follow my nose. And that's the intuitive part. The intuitive part is really knowing the right, like, oh, this kind of action, it's being motivated from something, right? And a mixture, that motivation will be, there'll be a mixture of ego and all kinds of things, right? Involved in things that motivate you. But if you're intuitive, you kind of know, okay, well, but there's something more here in this particular one, right? So let me give. In other words, I tend to be a giver for all kinds of motivations that I just mentioned. Maybe I want to look like the big man or something. But I also know, okay, there's something here. There's something there that's good. After I do things, okay, I can then look back and see the system, how it works. And it's an intuitive, simple system that anybody can easily understand. So back to the system. The system is you're making yourself uncomfortable in order to break past certain barriers which you're putting in front of yourself, but you don't really realize you're putting in front of yourself. These barriers have to do with, let's just keep it, when it comes to giving, let's just say money, right? That's the simplest one. Any kind of resource. You are scared to give $20. Because you're scared to give $20, you're not, or you are going to be having certain kinds of blocks that you're putting in front of yourself that other people perceive, that the marketplace perceives. In sales, it's true. You cannot be thirsty, okay? And we're out here in the RP spaces, and we know that intuitively, okay? The thing about the universe is, and I don't mean to sound weird. I don't mean to say it that way. The thing about everything, the thing about everything is they're fundamentals. It's not like, money is in this galaxy and game is in this other galaxy and sales is in another. It's like, no, it's all the same thing. You don't want to be thirsty in anything. If it's in the Bible, right? To those who have, more will be given, and to those who do not have, even the little that they do have will be taken away from them. If you know anything about not being thirsty, that's pretty much what the Bible was saying. The Bible was saying, if you're not thirsty for her number, she will throw her number at you. If you're not thirsty for closing the deal, you're more likely to close the deal. People give to people who demonstrate mastery. Demonstrating mastery is being above. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to go above money, okay? You're trying to be like, $20? I'll give it away, right? I bought a $5 coffee. I'll give $20 away because I don't need money. Money needs me. I am the master of money, okay? In your head, okay? And if you can get into all the subtleties of it, but in your head, you have gotten over a certain block that you're putting in front of yourself, okay? And also that other people perceive. The other people part is also very important because everything that you want, other people have. Right? And other people perceive that stuff. Other people perceive your thirst, or what they call commission breath in sales, right? Other people perceive desperation, and desperation is the opposite of mastery, right? So you're trying to master money. That's why you give it away. You're like, money is not my master. I'm not gonna go, my precious, no. Be like, I am going to dominate this game. And by doing so, you actually put yourself in a better position to be more successful. So just to revert to the first statement, one, it is an outward manifestation of success that's already been attained, but also it's what gets you to the next level and also what got you to this point, which is you need to constantly scare yourself, challenge yourself, be like, oh my God, can I give this $200 super chat, right? And you're like, you know what? Throw it away, right? I am the master. And trust me, you have actually done some serious psychological work on yourself when you do that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Commandante Lou, speaking of super chats, Commandante Lou with another $100 super chat. I appreciate that, brother Lou. He says, at Ike OGIAMIEN, releasing the fear of giving. Appreciate that, brother Lou. But let's talk about that, because my old man used to tell me all the time that the easiest thing to give people is money. He said it's much harder to give your time, your wisdom, your patience. He said giving somebody a few bucks is easy, son. But because that only takes a second, to hand somebody a $50 bill. That takes 1 second. He said, but when you give your whole day, you give a week, you give a few hours, that's part of your time. So in a sense, he used to say that, that's sort of a bigger sacrifice, son, because, you're volunteering, or you're helping someone out, you're giving your time. So talk about that a little bit, brother Ike.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to mention the intuitive action type of person. And I like to mention these kind of psychological predispositions because I think it's important so that people understand where someone is coming from, because a lot of times people would say things, but it's like without referencing the fact that there are different types of people, not an infinite number of types, right? You can create like at least like 5 categories, or maybe 2 broad categories, depending on the particular parameter that you're looking at. So there's certain types like me who just tend to just do, right? And also tend to just give because we have a penchant for action. and we just have this kind of need to just be doing and doing and doing, and then we have a good sense of intuition such that we end up landing, generally speaking, in the right spot. We have a lot of strong, have a strong pain tolerance, so we can keep going with all the mistakes. Because obviously, the downside of being the kind of person like me is you're gonna bump into a lot of walls, or you're gonna kiss a bunch of frogs, or whatever. You're gonna do all kinds of crazy stuff, as opposed to the person that maps things out. Now, I also tend to naturally give back. Part of the YouTube channel, for example, or because prior to this YouTube channel, I had another YouTube channel called my Prometheus Engineering YouTube channel, where it was just going over engineering concepts, right? Why did I do that? I wanted to do that similarly to why I'm kind of doing my meditation series, because if you've figured out certain things, right, and if you think you have, like, for example, my thing is that I feel like I can go from a very, very fundamental level. And by fundamental, I also mean simple, because some people go fundamental and complicated, which is just a double whammy. And it's just, you're like, dude, you went deep and complicated. When you go deep, it's supposed to go simpler, to go to bedrock. So I feel like in any kind of endeavor, any kind of explanation, I can go to bedrock. So I do that with my engineering stuff. I created that engineering channel to give, right? I'm talking about this meditation stuff because I can go to bedrock and explain, it's just formal use of a capacity. You do this, blah, 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 to give, right? And I think that in many, many, many folds comes back to you. You're going to get all kinds of opportunities as a result, right? I'm going to be talking to the Prophet of Thought out here on a Wednesday night. Is it Wednesday? Who knows?
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Yeah. All kinds of things are going to occur as a result of that, right? So 100% your dad was correct in the sense that, yeah, it's easy to just give money, but there's certain other things you should be giving. If you're someone like me, you tend not to plan it out. And again, I got to mention, because look, I like 100% transparency, because it just helps. Clarity always helps with understanding. What I'm saying is, if you're someone like me, is there not ego involved with me going on, starting that Prometheus Engineering channel and saying, let me show you how these concepts really work from a fundamental point of view? Of course there's ego. Of course there's let me show you how badass I am, right? But that's like a small part of it. Another part of it is more of a celebration of this thing. Like, look, I found this thing here. I look out and I know that there are other people like me. I know that this way of explaining things is not common. Let's say we talk about the meditation stuff, or you talk about my engineering channel. I know that people who go to college and read certain textbooks, they come out of college and they come out again with these bag of techniques. Okay, they come out with, okay, I use this. Okay, this is from this formula. This is from this technique. This is this saw. This is this whatever. That wrench, a number two, that kind of a thing. Because of the way I am, I tend to go down and find whatever master tool it is so that I can create a tool. It's almost like, imagine having the ability to just have 3 principles in your pocket rather than all these bags of tools. And then you can create any tool that you want based on the circumstance, right? So for me, that is also a bigger push, because I think that the ego is necessary in order to, at least so that you can put up a good aesthetic front, so that I got to make sure that my presentation is good and that, I don't look like an idiot when I actually put it out there, right? But the bigger driving force is that, hey, let me go down and show you guys that there is this other way to do it. And if you're someone like me, at least whatever the 20% of people who tend to be this kind of intuitive, action-oriented type, then I don't like carrying bags of stuff, analysis and all kinds of methodology and spreadsheet and this and that. Is like, I don't care. I just want to know the bottom. What's at rock bottom? If I know what's at rock bottom, I can apply it everywhere, right? So that's the way in which I tend to give. So whatever gift you have, because I consider that to be a gift. Not everybody has spent as much time as I have, or has the willingness to be spending all this much time going down and finding rock bottom everywhere. So whatever it is that you have out there listening, right, that you have found that not a lot of people do this stuff or can present this stuff or have this particular kind of a mindset, then you go out there and make sure that you give that, because that will multiply many fold as well, and it'll make you way more better in that particular thing which you think you're already good at as well too, just like in the money giving as well.
Oh yeah, because see, I'm an engineer too. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've been doing it for 30 years. We do everything. I did it for 2 decades, well, more than 2 decades for other people, and I jumped out and started my own, small company about 7 years ago. And one thing someone told me about engineers, they said, all you engineer guys are weirdos. And right. And when they said it, it made me laugh. And then when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I think they're right. It said all engineers are weirdos, and it's weird that they said that, because all the engineers I know, including myself, we all have little quirks about us. We all have these little things, like me, for instance. I'm not like you, you can sing and all that kind of stuff. What I like to do is fish. That's my thing. I mean, I've been fishing ever since I was a little boy, ever since I could hold a fishing pole. And I pride myself on being this great fisherman. Actually, when I was a little kid, I actually thought I was going to grow up to be some type of sport fisherman, and fish on TV and all that kind of stuff. But this mechanical engineering crap got in the way. So, so we all have these little quirks, and it takes me back to the meditation thing, because I spend a lot of time, when I'm not working or whatever, I spend a lot of time just sitting on my deck, man. And I'm not talking, it's just me and my dog out there. And, I got Romeo and Juliet, the cigar that I'm puffing on. And, there's no noise. There's no sounds. Now my eyes are open and I'm not in the lotus position. But now that I think about it, I can say that that's actually part of my meditation, even though I'm smoking a cigar while I'm doing it. It's quiet. If I am thinking about something, I'm thinking about, what I have to do the next day. Because if I'm not thinking about that, I'm probably not thinking about anything. I'm just kind of like staring into the trees, and just, enjoying the quiet, because the whole day has been full of racket and noise and banging and hammers and tools. And so, I guess I do kind of meditate without really knowing it. But what I want to say is this: do you think that as engineers, no matter what kind of engineer you are, structural, mechanical, electrical, IT, are we weirdos? Are we engineers weirdos?
Well, yeah, a self-selected group. Well, the first thing to ask whenever it comes to who's a weirdo and who is not is because it tends to be a question of numbers, right? You're an engineer, so it's a bell curve, who's on the tail kind of a question, right? So if you look and you see, well, you're not in the mean, right? You're not engineers are not a big percentage of the population, right? So you have these people, and then there's the self-selecting element, right? So you have these people who self-select. They decided to go to this place, okay? So they're going to have certain similarities and certain similar psychological dispositions, okay? And they're probably going to be more in their head. They're probably not going to be super great. I'm not saying that obviously you have these outliers, right? But not going to be super great with certain social things, okay, and some are worse than others, okay. Like some I know, I'm sure some that are like, oh my god, you're the one that make us look bad.
Yeah, you're who they're talking about when they say weirdo.
So, but we all have in a spectrum. Okay, we all share to the extent that we self-selected to go to this particular place, which is outside the norm. It does not represent a huge part of the population, so on and so forth. Okay, and we have chosen to do something which is difficult, right? Which is to go get a mechanical engineering degree. Why are you doing that to yourself, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's painful. You can't be doing that, studying your statics and dynamics and thermal mechanic whatever and all that kind of stuff, and still partying and doing all these other things which some people may want to be doing with their college years. It's like, so it is just simply speaking from the bell curve population point of view. Yes, you're kind of outside the norm there, and that people are going to sense that, people are going to notice that. We tend not to know though, right? Because we're just because number one, we are who we are, right? And then number two, we spend a lot of time with similar minded people. Okay. Yeah, if you're going to college for engineering, you don't really have a lot of time to spend with the business and psychology people because
Yeah.
they're not living the same kind of lifestyle you're living. You gotta be hitting that calculus book. You can't be chilling playing beer pong or whatever, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely not.
yeah, you know all that stuff that they do over there, like you're not doing it. So
Yeah.
you're gonna then start thinking, oh, I'm just normal. I'm just me and my friend Ryan and Michael, we just do normal stuff. But when people from the outside look, they're gonna see all the quirks and all the ways in which you're off, right? So yes is the short answer to the question. Yes, we are weird.
Yes, we're a bunch of weirdos. But but see the weirdo part of it, it kind of subsides as you get older. Because what I've been doing for 30 years. I've always had an affinity for mechanics and numbers. That's something, because I'm the son of a landscape architect. My dad was a landscape architect and he had a landscaping company and he did hardscapes and all that kind of stuff. So I've been around that kind of crap all my life, so it just kind of came natural. It just kind of came natural to want to be around machinery, fabricating machinery, modifying machinery. It just kind of came natural. Um and ever since I've been doing, well, one thing I can say, uh since I've been doing it, I haven't had a hungry day or a homeless day or in any of that. So there's that. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of those fields where, and I tell brothers this, when it comes to engineering and things of that nature, I mean, it's not that often that you're gonna find yourself, man, like out of work. I mean, it's all the engineers that I know either have a very good paying jobs or have their own companies. So, I mean, that can be said about most engineers that I know. I mean,
Mm.
there's not too many engineers out there that are on the food line or whatever it is. They're
Mm-hmm.
just not.
Mm-hmm.
Not to cape for engineering or anything like that, but it's one of those things where no matter what it is, because my son, my oldest son, he's an electrical engineer, and
Oh, okay.
he works for the city, so
Those
I
those are the
mean,
real weirdos, by the way. Is the
oh,
electricals are the real weirdos, but
trust trust me. And it's crazy because when I was young, that's what I thought I wanted to do. I thought I wanted,
mm,
because I went to school for electrical engineering first. I did that
mm,
first, and didn't like it. Didn't like it. So I went back to school for the
mm,
mechanical engineering, and it's just better. It's just a better deal for me. I mean, it's just better. Trust me. But my son is an electrical engineer, and he makes, because he works for the city, so he makes a good wage. He's taking care of his wife and his family, and it's good. He's not out of work ever. So it's something to think about, especially uh because one thing, not to get too far off topic, but one thing this whole COVID thing showed
mm,
me is that, you know, I'm lucky I picked what I picked to do with my life. because I know a lot of people who they have different occupations and different, things that they do. And they took a really, really big hit with this COVID stuff. I know people who had businesses where their businesses just went, it basically fell to the ground due to COVID. And, not to brag or anything, but like us engineering guys and us mechanical guys, we kept right on where nothing happened. My business wasn't affected at all. It wasn't. I mean, the city didn't come and close us down. None of that. So, it's something for you, you younger guys to think about, because engineering, man, it's kind of coronavirus proof, man. It's COVID proof. It is.
Yeah, and you're saying, going off topic, it is right in line with the topic in terms of, the elements for success. This is more on the strategic kind of practical advice type stuff, right? Because I mentioned that there are aspects that have to do with your self-mastery. There are aspects that have to do with your psychology, and there's socio-political and cultural aspects too, which I think is key. Like, for example, not having a victim mindset, and so all that is a bag of tricks, right? But the strategy, now what? Okay, what do I do? What's the first step? What's the second step? What's the third step? This is when career path, if you will, a path. Pick one path. What is a possible path to go? A hard skill. And it could be in, let's say, white collar, which is engineering, because engineering, like we're like the white collar people of the blue collar world, right? We're generally working with the blue collar folks, which shout out to blue collar folks, because whenever it's a great feeling whenever I go to a construction site, right? Which I was in one last week, Veterans Administration. Whenever I'm in a construction site, and I'm there and I put on my hard hat and then I'm there to go have a meeting, go inspect some stuff or whatever, I really realize why I love what I do, because I cannot imagine, the world of, being a human resources person at some big bank. And it's all boardrooms and nonsense all day. When you're in a construction site, it's you don't even have to talk to people. You just feel the realness. It's real. It's about swinging that hammer, and it's either done or it's not done. It's not political. You're not going to politically set up this wall, right? Yeah. The wall is going to be up and it's going to stand. It's going to be right or not. You're not going to finesse it or paper over it with some financial scheme or that kind of thing, right? So for me, shout out again to the blue collar hard hats out there. Being adjacent to these people is super critical for me. But I mentioned that because whether you're doing the blue collar thing or a white collar thing, the first thing to do, I say, is, get a skill, right? Get a skill. Because a lot of people want to talk about this hustle thing, okay? Hustle is fine, but I say that hustle is on that psychological discipline side of things. Get your discipline right, correct, yeah, sure. Get your exercise right, your diet right, your hydration right, your meditation right. Get all that stuff correct. And be in a mode where you understand that you have to do. You cannot rest on your laurels and so on and so forth. But when it comes to actually bringing that money in from a bank, into the bank, you can't just go like, what's the next hustle? Well, let's go sell weave on Instagram today, and let's go do that tomorrow. Let's hop onto this. It's like, that doesn't really work. Even for someone like me who likes to do 1,000 things, even I know that that's kind of foolhardy, right? It's like, no, pick a particular silo. Okay, now I can do several at a time, but not everybody needs to be a madman. Again, I'm a super introvert, meaning I can just be locked up in here in my cave for months, right? Just doing stuff, and I'm cool. But pick one particular silo. Let's say it's in the blue collar realm, which is quicker to start making money from, right? And when you then get your 9 to 5, right? Your basic 9 to 5, and then get certifications. So when you're an engineer, because you said, you started your company, when you are an engineer or any kind of trades skilled person, the next thing to immediately start looking is, how can I do this on my own, right? Because you have a cushy job and you have opportunities, but guess what? You can also put up your own shingle when you get your PE, you get your professional license and so on and so forth, right? Or if you are in the blue collar thing, whatever the certifications are that are required for you to start your own electrician thing on the side, immediately start looking at that, okay? And then immediately, once you get it, start looking at how you're gonna do it, okay? Maybe you and then you're gonna land one job because your cousin said something, or the way it tends to work is you start pulling the feelers out there. You start telling people that, hey, I am willing to do work, right? And then 5 months down the line, somebody calls you and say, hey, you still willing to do work, right? Because this guy just came to me and he wanted me to do this thing, but I don't do this stuff. But I'm like, hey, Dale said he was willing to do work 5 months ago, and then boom, now you got your first client, right? And then this is where the soft skills come in. Okay, so I say get a hard skill, get certifications, open up your side hustle. Okay, in other words, the 40-hour work week, and I know people tend to people say Americans work too much and want to live the European lifestyle and so on and so forth. Well, take it with a grain of salt, because this is coming from me. I'm a crazy person. Okay, but I think there is no work as much as keep working. Okay, because I think people who look at it that way tend not to look at things from a holistic point of view. They tend to look at work as different from their life. So they're trying to manage hours. Like, oh, but what about my wine drinking time? And how about my this time and that time?
Yeah.
It should all be one.
Yes.
Everything should be one. It's all one. It's all one of that part of that big push towards stressing yourself so that you don't die. But anyways, so now you get that first client. This is where the soft skills come in. Go ahead and learn how to close more clients, how to influence that client to give you more referrals. So how to market yourself, put yourself out there. Soft skills are super key. Moving up in any regard, I always like to say, involves two things. It involves becoming more strategic, because by definition, you're moving up from tactical to strategic. That's what moving up really means. And then number two, it's becoming more influential. Like you're gonna, by definition, also have people under you. You have to influence. You have to either within your organization, but also you're gonna be more responsible for bringing things into your organization. Value, whether the value be contracts or concessions or money or more clients, right? So you cannot escape it. You cannot escape it. You cannot go from teacher to principal, from lieutenant to general, or for whatever, from regular priest to pope, without soft skills, right? You cannot escape it. So, because some people, again, shout out to the introvert gang, they tend to be like, oh, no, I'm just, that's not for me. And they start making excuses. They start making it seem like, oh, all those people who are out there doing dog and pony show dancing, the stupid salesman, I'm smarter than them, all that nonsense. Nah, you're fooling yourself, and you're smarter. Yeah. You're smart enough to know you're fooling yourself. And take it from me, I just gave you the sentence, okay, strategy and influence. That's the definition of moving up. So you're just making excuses. You're resting on your laurels. You're like, I got this, okay? But you're atrophying, okay? You're not actually moving forward. So again, just to repeat what I said, get that hard skill, then get that certification, put yourself out there to start your side gig. Doesn't mean you have to give up your first gig. And I believe that your side gig should be right next to your first gig, okay? Don't be an electrician and then turn around to go start selling shirts on Instagram. It's like, it's very inefficient because you got to turn your head around. But if you're an electrician doing commercial work for your 9-to-5 guy, your 9-to-5 boss, but on the weekends you do residential work, it's the same thing. You purchase this particular tool, or you learn these particular skills, or you build these particular relationships and networks. It's all helping you to the same one, but you're creating this nice snowball effect. Okay, so you do that, develop the hard skills as well, and then with the overflow, you invest in yourself, and on and on and on, right? But I would say on the strategy end of things, in terms of the steps to take, that is what I would say.
Absolutely. Shout out to brother Sire Tice, my boy, who will be here tomorrow talking about fasting and nutrition. He says, salute Zabe and brother Ike. Great show and locked and loaded for tomorrow. I certainly hope so, brother. I've been looking forward to this fasting show for a while, even though I haven't fasted in quite some time. I have stopped eating meat though. I have stopped eating meat, brother Side Tice. I haven't eaten any meat in almost 6 weeks now. No meat, all vegetables, and I still have my pasta. I'm probably gonna die eating pasta, but I haven't eaten any meat. And when I do eat pasta, I put very little sauce on it. As a matter of fact, I had some pasta yesterday, and the only thing I had on it was parsley and oregano. That's it. So
Nice.
I'm working my way there, brother Side Tyson. Working my way there. But you said something really interesting a few minutes ago, brother Ike. You said that us weirdo engineers, we are the white collar of the blue collar field. I like that. I'm stealing that one. I'm stealing that line. That line I'm stealing. Because that's kind of what it is. Because I know what me. Well, I'm very hands on. I'm very hands on. Because I like getting dirty myself. I like getting my hands in there, and I'm very very good at welding and metal fabrication and things that stuff I can do it in my sleep, and I like doing it. So I'm right out there with my guys. Most of the time, 90% of the time, I'm right there with them. Not just because I gotta keep a damn eye on them, but also I like doing it. I literally like doing it. Now, mind you, I don't plan on doing it being out in the field for too much longer, because I am getting older, maybe another 5 or 6 years, because I eventually want to leave, the business to my grandson. That's kind of the goal at this point. He's 12 now. So, in another 6 years, he'll be 18. He seems to have taken an interest in it. And, I'm going to try to groom him up into it, man. I already got, one guy who kind of runs the show when I'm not around. I'm hoping that he can kind of be my grandson's guy, like he's been my guy for all these years, because that's kind of where I'm going with it. Because my sons, they're not interested in it at all. My oldest son, he's an electrical engineer, and Pop, I don't want to deal with that. And my youngest son, he's a master carpenter, so he can, he's got his own business too. So he wants nothing to do with what we're doing. But my grandson is actually interested in it, so he's probably going to be the one ending up with it. When I'm dead and gone and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the plan. But that whole white collar of the blue collar field, man, I like that, man. I might make a sign with hang that up in my shop. But I don't want I don't want to keep you too much longer. But what I want to ask you is what brought you to YouTube? Was it just the engineering? Was it your music? What made Ike say, you know what? I'm going to start a YouTube page.
That's a very good question, because it's kind of all encompassing, because YouTube is a social media as well as a place where people come to, like say a TV channel, right, which would be the other kind of example. But it is also social media. Okay, there are people out there in the chat who know each other, and they leave messages, blah, blah, so on and so forth, right? It is a place where people socialize, especially out here in this space, which is, in this particular space of YouTube, is the place where both the content creator and the chat, if you will, and their followers are almost equally important. It's almost like they're both part of the show, and they contribute a lot to it. So, say that to say this: coming to YouTube years ago, just as part of my nerd type stuff, because I like to consume information, and one of the people who really brought me to YouTube first of all was Joe Rogan, and this was way back in the day, right? When he started his podcast, right? And um, going through Joe Rogan and then getting to a certain point where I'm like, okay, let me do this engineering thing, okay, which I started in 2000 and I think I started that engineering channel in like 2010 or something like that, okay? But just to put that kind of information out there. And it was also kind of one of the few strategic things which I did, which was my company is called Prometheus Engineering and the channel is called, Prometheus Engineering Group or whatever, right? So it was kind of like okay, well, things are very far from each other. There's nobody that's watching my YouTube channel, which is mainly watched by men in India studying engineering. That is going to actually be a client of mine, right? But I just wanted to put something out there for marketing, maybe branding, maybe controlling your story and your image purposes, right? So I put that out there while still just consuming information. And then I found Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan one day, and I'm one of my things is one of my pet peeves, if you will, is political correctness. Let's just say, right? And I come at it from a point because I like to dig in. I mentioned before, I like transparency. So whenever, for example, I say something like, oh, well, I do this because of this, but I'll tell you like, whoa, 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 also there's ego and then there's this and I want to look nice and stuff like that. I don't like for things to be hidden. I don't like for things to be blocked. Similar to what I said about going to the construction site as well. Right? I like for things to be real. So Jordan Peterson comes along. His whole thing was, political correctness, getting, chased out of some university because whatever, right? Because he was too much truth, whatever, right? And then through Jordan Peterson, the algorithm starts taking you into these other spaces and you find Solo TV 84 and O'Shea. And then you start finding this community within the chat, right? And you start kind of participating in that. And then Solo TV decided to do, he was like, oh, let me interview this guy. I see him around here and there. And I'm out there dropping super chats because entertainment plus, again, I just kind of have a sense that this, again, right? I have a sense for certain things, intuition. I've built up intuition over the years for things that are good to do. And Solo TV 84 interviews me. And then I show up once on Kevin Samuel's show, just one rare time when he was actually taking calls from dudes. And I called in and I just just kind of said some things, some basic, like just some tidbits similar to the kinds of things that we're saying right now. And then people were like, you should start your own channel. You should do it. So September of 2020, last year, I decided to start the channel because I have a lot of interests and I have that teacher side of me, which I mentioned earlier, the teacher side and also the performer side. So it's kind of right in line. So I'm already kind of participating in the communities of these other content creators and so on and so forth. There is something that I can bring again, that my gift, which is the gift of fundamentals, right? Just taking things down to the basic level, making it very simple, measurable, intuitive, actionable, and presenting it. And really, that's kind of like my YouTube story, starting with just being a consumer, watching Joe Rogan, and then doing the engineering thing, partly for marketing and also partly for this kind of sharing of the gift, Jordan Peterson into the manosphere, and then boom.
Yeah, because that's where I first saw you. I first saw you on Brother Ramil's channel. And, when I saw you there, I said, I'm subscribing to this brother, man. I want to see what he's doing. I want to see what he's doing down there, because I like the interview that you did and, what you talked about and everything. And I feel like, it's always good to, kind of pick the brains, of people who have, gained a level of success, whether it be, in their lives, with their families, with their business, finances, whatever. It's always good to kind of pick the brains of them. And like I said, I've been watching your stuff and, it does come off as like a teaching channel. I mean, that's kind of how you do it. You're actually teaching people principles and, how to focus, meditation, how to be, kind of quote unquote in the zone, if you will, man. And I think it's a good thing. And moderators, if you could be so kind to go ahead and spam Brother Ike's channel in the chat, if you don't mind, folks. And you can go ahead and put your information in the chat too, as well, Brother Ike, because you have been wrenched over here. Because something I've done over here is I'm adjusting. All right, I'm restructuring my wrench holders. I'm restructuring it because I feel like it's something that I have to do, because it's been some funny business going on the channel. So I must restructure who are wrench holders and who are not. I must separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. So
if I may ask, how does the algorithm, or does the algorithm kind of take into account those whom are wrenched in your channel in terms of determining whether or not they're going to punish you or something, or whatever? Or is that something that you don't speak about on you don't talk about the algorithm while the algorithm listens?
Well, I know that if certain words are put into your chat, it could come back to haunt you. So you have to be careful of certain people in your chat. See, I spoke of restructuring my chat room, and the reason why I'm doing it doesn't even have anything to do with Google or YouTube's algorithms. It has to do with what's been going on in my chat room lately, because I've had people call me on the phone and write my personal email, people who have followed me for 3 and 4 years, and telling me that, they're being blocked by people. So, I had to go in there, unblock. And when I looked in my block list, there were like 15 people in there that I'm really, really cool with. About 6 and 7 of those people are people that I deal with outside of YouTube, because see, some YouTubers I actually deal with outside of YouTube. These people have my personal cell phone number. I've met some of these people, and I look up and they're on my block list. So I'm like, how are these people getting blocked unless there's some funny business going on with my moderators? So I have to get to the bottom of it. That's why I said I must restructure my wrench holders, because that's kind of what I do with my business. If something's going on, I get to the bottom of it and I restructure. All right. So that's what we're doing here on YouTube as well. I'm going to get to the bottom of it and I'm going to restructure, because I don't think that because I have a Streamlabs bot in my chat as well. Okay. And it will block you depending on what you say. It'll warn you. And then once it gets tired of warning you, it will ultimately just decapitate you. Okay. It will decapitate you eventually. And I know these people. Some of these people I literally know. All right. I've been to these people's houses. I've been to these people's place of business. We speak on the phone, but they're on the block list, which tells me one of my wrench holders has been blocking these people. Therefore, I say again, I'm restructuring the wrench holders so I can get a sense of who's doing this crap. All right. So that's where we're at now. But you have a wrench here. I just gave Brother Lou a wrench as well. And like I said, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And to be honest with you, some of those wrenches aren't coming back for those people. Once I get to narrowing down who it is who's doing it, they won't be getting their wrench back. That's all it is to it. I mean, one thing to block people if they're in the chat room and they're doing crazy stuff. All right, that's one thing. But if you're blocking people that have been with me, following me ever since I had like 5 subscribers, that's something else. that means you're
Mm.
bringing whatever problems you have with this person into my chat room, and that's not going to fly. So
Mm. Mhm.
that's where we are now. But yeah, like I said, man, I didn't want to keep you too long. Brother Ike, I appreciate you, man, coming through. This is very insightful. I'm looking forward to a lot more of your streams. And you know, I've been watching you for a while. I've been watching you probably ever since you were on Brother Ramil's, but I never wrote nothing in your chat room. I wanted to wait. I wanted to wait till I got you on first. So now you'll see me in your chat
Gotcha.
room. You know, because see, I'm a
Oh,
weirdo.
that.
I'm a weirdo like that. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. You know, that's why I
I
say that
love it.
person who says that we're weirdos, they're right. But see, I won't say things in your chat room unless we've had a conversation first.
Mm.
You know, that's kind of who I am. I'm not the type to write in your chat room. I don't write in people's chat rooms that I haven't had a conversation with first.
Mm.
You know, if I haven't had a conversation with that person, I'm not going to write anything in their chat room. I'll just kind of, watch, from the quote unquote clouds, as they say. But now that we've spoken, you'll see me in your chat room. That's just a weird
Well,
thing I got.
that'll be great, and thank you for the wrench, and thank you for the watching from the clouds, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been watching, man.
It's an honor, yeah, and thanks to everyone, perhaps whom will be the new subscribers that will be coming through, and those
Yes.
whom are already subscribed, and it's quite encouraging, right? Because as you know, doing this whole thing, putting it together, and so on and so forth, it does take time and work and effort and so on and so forth. Nothing is ever as easy as it looks. So
Nope.
the encouragement from the community is great and much appreciated.
Oh yeah, man. Your channel, man, is good. I like it. It's very relaxed. It's very calm. You play music. You sing. You'll do requests. Like the other night, I was watching and somebody made a request, and you like kind of just came back and stopped the show and started singing. I was like, this is good stuff here, man. This is good stuff, man. So yeah, I like it. And y'all go down there, man. Like I said, moderators, please put Brother Ike's channel in the chat. And people, if you haven't subscribed to Brother Ike OGIAMIEN already, get on down there and subscribe. I'm telling you, he does a really, really good stream. He plays good music and he sings. If you request the song, he might just give you a few bars of it, if you ask him nicely. You know what I'm saying? But once again, Brother Ike, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming, man. And you got to come back at some point. Got to
Oh
come
yeah,
back at some point,
100%.
man.
Just reach out and we'll make it happen.
Oh, absolutely, man. I appreciate you, good brother, for coming on. Once again, y'all, Brother Ike OGIAMIEN in the house. Get on down there and subscribe to my brother Ike. All right. Brother Ike, man, peace, my brother.
Peace. Until next time.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Just got off the line with Brother Ike OGIAMIEN, man. Y'all need to get down there, man. Check Brother Ike out. I mean, he does a good stream, man. And Ike is very very low key, man. Very like relaxed. I mean, his whole vibe is like meditation, I mean, even if you didn't know that, if he didn't talk about meditation and stuff, you'd kind of be able to guess that this is a guy who meditates, because he comes on, he's very calm. He just kind of eases into his stream. Not like me. I come right on yelling and talking shit. He doesn't do that. He like comes in very calm and relaxed, laid back, and he just kind of like glides into, whatever presentation he's gonna do. He's that type of dude. So get on down there, man. Check out Brother Ike, man. All right. So we're gonna wrap this up, but before we go, y'all know I always gotta hit y'all in the head with some programming notes. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page, the one and only Sire Tice will be here tomorrow for another Hours of Power, and Brother Sir Tice will be here talking about, because y'all know that brother Sir Tice has a series on this channel, and tomorrow he's going to be back talking about fasting and nutrition. So you don't want to miss it. You want to have your black behinds here, because we're starting in early, kind of like we did tonight. Y'all know tonight we started up at 8 o'clock, not the usual 9:30, and tomorrow is another double header as well. My brother Sir Tice will be here talking about fasting and nutrition, so you don't want to miss it. And then right after that, the second part of the old T.P.O.T doubleheader, brother Trey will be here, and he will be talking about vacating the space. Yeah, vacating the space. And by the space, I mean this space, this quote unquote space that we talk about all the time. Yeah. I think it's going to be a really, really good show. Yeah, brother Trey will be here tomorrow. Y'all know him, Trey the NBD. He'll be here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page, and right before he comes on, the good brother, my man, brother Sir Tice, will be here talking a little fasting and nutrition. And I got a lot of questions I want to ask brother Sir Tice. He said he's got something going on with the pasta, some pasta alternatives for a brother. So I'm definitely interested in hearing about that. But yeah, good stuff tonight. Of course, we started off with brother Linnell Gant talking about Bitcoin, and then we rolled right into talking with brother Ike, man, the elements of success. If you got into the stream late, go ahead, rewind it back, listen to some of the things brother Ike was talking about, man, because we laugh and we joke, we do all that kind of stuff, but we actually had a serious show tonight, man. And brother Ike gave some really, really good pointers, man, about focus and concentration and charity and meditation and developing skills and all that kind of stuff. So if you got in here late, go ahead, man, rewind it back, man, and listen to the good brother talk. All right, and get on down there, you folks in here, get on down there, man, and subscribe to his channel. Check him out. He does streams pretty regularly. Yeah, pretty regularly. I think he does them pretty regularly. Like, I don't know if it's exactly every day, but he does quite a few. And you'll catch me down there. You'll catch OX down there as well. All right. All right. So we're going to run a couple commercials, folks. And then after that, we're going to peel on up out of here. I will see you, good folks, on the other side of these here breaks.
Peace, folks. Open your mind. Wednesday, we throw down in the digital square circle on Hours of Power debates. Thursday, we get at it with DXL, Dark Exodus Live. So come through, 9:30 p.m., right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You know. Open your mind. Hey guys, T.P.O.T on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But you knew that already.
Yeah. So we're going to pull on up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all coming through tonight, man. I appreciate all of the super chats and the cash apps. I appreciate you, good brothers. You know I do. And once again, man, shout out to our special guest, brother Ike OGIAMIEN. Get on down there and check him out, man. Good stuff. And hopefully I can get old brother Ike back here soon, man. All right. All right. So with that, I will leave you with 3 words, you know, like I always do. Open your minds. But we ending it a little different tonight. So check it out. I'll see you folks tomorrow.
Load up on the meat is overrated. Right into verse. In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fits me any moment what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what goes behind the curtain, the face of evil's working with the shooting eyes are person. It's not a steady bubble, the eyes are pop or couple, many will fall and stumble, let the doors and gather bubble, from the little Colorado, give me to the Burkina Faso, I love to preach the towers and the truth was on the castle. I said, run, live with me, because the peace I place bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make me get it. Calling out the tatas and the something complicated. I said, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace I place bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make me get it. Calling out the tatas and the something. With the almost steady rising, my thoughts are compromising. Conditions there are stifling, making evil advertising. The fist are steady falling, and confidence is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is of honest. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corner. So I say, come, make me it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make me get it. Calling out the others and the songs to complete it. I say, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make me get it. Calling out the others and the songs to complete it. What about Surahs in the house? Alright. Come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make me get it. Calling out your tatas and the sons, don't get it. I said, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make me get it. Calling on top doctor. Let's go down. Hold on the floor. That's it.
Only from the Prophet of Thought Series Media.
You know.
Open your mind. 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 Open your mind.